One of the first ever Pokemon draft leagues that I've ever joined was the WPF, and as you might recall from last season, I made it all the way to the finals just to be snuffed out by Spider in the end. So I'm back again to try and take on this challenge and officially conquer it once and for all. If you haven't already, or this is the first time watching this channel, please make sure to hit that subscribe button. We do a lot of Pokemon content on this channel, mainly Pokemon competitive draft leagues and other competitive stuff. It would just mean the world for you to like and subscribe, and really helps me out as well. I am Oro, your coach of the Miami Masterpieces, and the WPF is a normal points based draft league with 9 weeks of length and 16 coaches. The rules are pretty standard. We pick through a snake style, and Terra captains are limited to 2, which can terrestrialize into any type. We just have to let our opponents know before in team preview and the like. There was one specific mon I wanted when I first started looking into this draft, and we'll get to that later. In comparison to the NBBL, which had 28 people picking from one draft pool, the WPF only has 16, meaning it was easier to find Pokemon that can fill roles that I might want. My first 2 picks this time around were actually both my Terra captains, and I kind of want to get to them at the end of the draft, at the end of the main roster. So at the 3rd pick of my draft, I actually got Darkrai. Definitely not a Pokemon I thought I would have gotten in the 3rd round, but here we are. Darkrai was something I really wanted last season actually, but ended up getting Weavile at the end of the draft to fill my fast Dark type. Darkrai with decent bulk, such as I think it has 75 HP and 90 in both defenses, very respectable, giant 135 special attack stat, and almost equally solid speed at 125. It's typically a mon that goes in round 1. Its coverage is impressive also, with the like of Dark Pulse, Ice Beam, Thunder. I think it just has Thunder, Focus Blast, Sludge Bomb, but really a lot of attacks that are very useful for Darkrai. It has good utility in the likes of Knockoff, T-Wave, and Trick, and the ability to sweep with both Nasty Plot and Swords Dance sets. It is a great Pokemon, and I'm very glad to have it. My 4th pick was Pecharunt, an absolutely ludicrous defensive stat. At 160 means that it's not really going to be taking any damage from any physical attackers whatsoever, and every other stat is more than just decent. 88 across the board is pretty dang good, all things considered. It can pivot with Parting Shot, which is really nice to have. Malicious Chain is an incredible signature move with 100 base attack damage. The ability 50% chance to poison, I believe, and then a guaranteed confuse at the end if it manages to poison successfully. So it's a very frustrating attack to be on the end of. With Nasty Plot and Hex, it can sweep most teams, especially with Malicious Chain, almost always improving Hex's damage to around 130. Recover means it won't be as easily whittled down by most threats. Like, this is a Pokemon that would come in on a lot of different Pokemon, take a hit, and then it could very easily recover it up, more than likely. And with utilities such as Curse, Destiny Mon, and Foul Play even to help me fight against Pokemon attempting to set up on Petron, it's not going to be a super passive wall that's not going to really do anything in return to Pokemon trying to set up. It's going to be very easily able to pivot out with Parting Shot, making their setup attempts not as worthwhile. Very incredible mon, and I'm super glad to have it as well. Next is Alolan Ninetales, which you might not notice, or is a Pokemon that I actually have mainly here for Aurora Veil. I mean, it's more than just okay otherwise. It has Baton Pass to help pivot out when it threatens something out. Freeze Dry helps me damage water types that my team for the most part can kind of struggle with. Moonblast is spammable for most, just like most fairy types. Encore is fantastic. Calm Mind and Nasty Plot sets, I can try to take advantage of those, and depending on which, how good the opposing team is good at defending against Alolan Ninetales. Perfectly Accurate Blizzards also help with the less than exceptional special attack stat, but its speed tier is what I mainly drafted it for alongside Aurora Veil. It very, very nicely complements Darkrai, and complements one of my Terra captains as well. Now, aside from that, it does have the ability Snow Warning, which is actually really nice for my team, as you see here, with my next pick, which is Kyurem, Pokemon that already has like really exceptional defenses. I think it has like 115 HP and like 95 in both defenses. Like, that's super incredible. If I can invest into special defense more often than not, then the Snow from a little Ninetales can kind of carry the defensive stat, making this Pokemon really hard to remove. And naturally, its special attack stat is like 135, so it's going to be hitting everything super hard with moves such as Draco Meteor, Freeze Dry, Earth Power, Focus Blast. I think it's Flash Cannon as well. Like, this is a Pokemon that not most Pokemon are going to be able to switch into super well. And even though it can be one-dimensional at times, it excels in this role of dealing a lot of damage and outspeeding some less threats. But it's also more than capable of just not dealing, like, focusing entirely onto maximum damage. I mean, its bulk, as I said, is more than exceptional. So if I can ever get the chance to bring Kyurem in and not have to focus 100% of the time on its attack and special attack, even though it can do like Dragon Dance sweeps and Choice Specs sweeps and the like, then this Pokemon can really make the most out of its value. Next is Heatran. This is just a Pokemon that I felt like I kind of needed because I struggle a little bit into steel types. I mean, I don't really have a resist out of my entire team, and Heatran can definitely help with that. I do have grass resists for sure. I have fairy resists, Pecharon, but even Pecharon is like, I don't want it to be taking every single fairy type attack because my team can be kind of weak to fairy, as you see with like Darkrai and Kyurem. Heatran is also just an incredible special defensive wall, which my team doesn't really have at the moment. It has physical wall and Pecharunt, but not really special. So if I can focus the Moonblast into Heatran and the Play Roughs into Pecharunt, then, you know, it would be very good to have. Magma Storm is an incredible move to have. Means that most water types don't really want to switch into it either, you know, especially bulky water types that can't recover up that damage. Magma Storm is just going to trap them in, maybe do like 15% from the damage itself, and then like another 12% from just the residual of Magma Storm. With that, I mean, it's a Pokemon that like not most things are gonna want to switch into either, because it does have a really high special attack stat. So even those water types, you know, might not be taking even just only 15%. They might be taking even more, and then taking the extra from that chip. It has a very reliable Stealth Rock habit. It can taunt slower threats to mean that it won't be taking, like, you know, it might not get forced out by like Roar. It won't be taking T-Waves and the like. It can stop some Stealth Rock setters, so especially stuff like Earthworm, which it will naturally outspeed and be able to taunt against them, as well as just like, you know, if something switches into Heatran that might want to set up on Heatran, then taunt can stop them from being able to do that. So it's a great mon to have. Will-O-Wisp means that it can burn things without having to make contact. Flash Cannon and Earth Power are relatively good coverage moves to have. And then, you know, it does resist a lot of types, so it can effectively do a pivot set with Protect and Leftovers to constantly gain health back over and over again into most archetypes in most teams. Next is Quilladin, which is more of a Pokemon that I wanted because I don't have a ground resist right now, and Quilladin with an Violet is incredibly bulky, surprisingly. It can do a lot of weird things, like against that Spikes, which my team doesn't have right now. It can body press into some steel types so that it's not completely walled with the grass type stab. Seed Bomb isn't like super weak because it's actually like coming off of a base 89 attack stat or something like that. So it's more than okay. It's more than just like a random grass type or a ground type resist that I just like chucked onto the team. It's capable of doing other things, that I'm actually kind of excited to have it because Quilladin is such a funny looking guy. With moves like Drain Punch, Stomping Tantrum, Seed Bomb, can do relatively good damage. Spikes is good hazard setting. I think it gets Spiky Shield, so that, you know, physical attackers will have to be a little cautious if they can't really afford to lose that damage, especially to things that do like Focus Sash things. And I mean, ignoring that, it's just like an all-around okay mon. Like, its speed isn't good by any means. Its special attack isn't more than likely very good. So it'll kind of be singled into like doing random like okay physical damage and like tanking very specific attacks from most teams. But I'm very glad to have it, and I'm excited to use Quilladin because I think it'll come more than just once every game or every other game. You know what I mean? We also have Chinchino, which is just good hazard removal, and also a Pokemon that I kind of wanted. either this or Mousehold of. This Pokemon can actually put in so much work. Tail Slap, Triple Axle, Bullet Seed, Rock Blast. I mean, it just does crazy things. I think it gets Low Kick as well for the pesky Steel types. Tidy Up, removing hazards and boosting its attack and speed, just like Dragon Dance, is actually incredible for this Pokemon. It does so much work with those tools. I think it gets stuff like T-Wave knockoff. It gets some utility moves such as those. It might get something like Switcheroo. I know it gets U-Turn, which is good because my team does lack pivoting, like exceptional pivoting. So Chinchino really helps out with that a lot. And this is just a Pokemon that I'm actually super excited to have as well. And yeah, next is actually Golem. This is a Pokemon that I wanted because my Stealth Rock setter, I don't want it to be completely limited to Heatran every time. And then the Rock and Ground type coverage this Pokemon has actually helps out with my ability to take out Pokemon such as Steel types, Rock types, Fire types even, which my team can kind of struggle with all of. Sturdy, Stealth Rock, and Explosion sets are things that it can really do quite well, and it also gets Rock Polish for some like surprise sweeping sets. So it's a Pokemon that it's not gonna it's similar to Quilladin, where like typically you'd maybe expect it to come like once or twice. I could see it coming more than that, just that. We also have Vespiquen, which is a Pokemon that I know most people are going to look at this and be like, this is not a good Pokemon at all, but it does have some good tools. I think it gets Defog, it gets Roost in the heal order, defense order, attack order. It gets all of its signature attacks, obviously. It can U-turn out on things and also click Air Slash, which is good because offensive flying type attacks are more than just good. It can pivot out with U-turn. I don't know if I already said that. And for me specifically, it comes with the benefit of being another fighting type resist and another ground immunity, which is actually super ideal to have for Vespiquen. It's still a Pokemon I think might only come like once or twice, but it's still a good Pokemon on my team nonetheless. This is my first Terra Captain, the Pokemon that I drafted actually at the very beginning of the draft, which is Terra Quaquaval. It's just a Pokemon that I really like the idea of as a Terra Captain, being able to go Terra Steel and resist random attacks, especially in like a free Terra League, means that I can also quite effectively just go for like randomly like Rapid Spin for removing hazards, or Aqua Step to boost my speed with both of them. And then like if I can kill a Pokemon that I can get a Moxie boost and the like, then it's a Pokemon that can really like snowball very easily, especially with Terra. Now it's pretty one-dimensional as well, but it's also like not bad bulk by any means. So I mean, it can definitely come in and it can definitely like just chew a random attack and then like randomly set up, or I think it gets Roost and the like as well, so it's not going to just like whittle down slowly and die. And then with Terra, I mean, especially like think of like if a grass type were to come in and try to think of Rillaboom. If Rillaboom was going to come in and try to revenge Quaquaval, I can easily just Terra into like Terra Flying or something like that, which Rillaboom cannot damage in any way. I can boost my Brave Bird to just kill it off in one hit, and I can easily just set up on it at the same time. It's not going to be able to pivot me or pick me off with something like Grassy Glide. Next is my second Terra Captain, which is Espathra, another Pokemon that I'm just super excited to use. This is the Pokemon that I mentioned maybe at the beginning, where this is the first thing that I wanted when I picked up this league again. Terra Espathra is a mon that just excites me in a way that like if I ever see like those Then You Fight videos that you might see on YouTube now and then, and I see a Pokemon with like a Psychic type and they get any ability, then I'm like, oh, just give it Speed Boost, give it Calm Mind, and it's just going to sweep, because what do you really do against that when you have another coverage move? For example, when you're Terra Espathra, you can use Terra Fairy, you can use Terra Ground, you can use Terra Fighting to threaten both Dark and Steel types. And then with Sword Power, you're not going to be able to you're constantly going to be boosting the damage of that attack. It gets what's its move, Lumina Crash, which always has a chance of, or always drops the opposing Pokemon's special defense by 2 stages. Like if you don't have a Dark type, if you don't have a reliably specially defensive Steel type, this Pokemon will wreak havoc into your entire team. And that's going to be the team with Kyurem, Golem, Heatran, Cinccino, Darkrai, Espathra, Vespiquen, Alolan Ninetales, Quaquaval, Quilladin, and Petrarunt. I hope you guys all enjoyed this video. Make sure you leave a comment down below what you think about the team, and and I will see you for our week 1 battle against Gentleman Thomas. See you guys then.